What's going on, guys? Pulls React back here with another reaction and review because we're going to have to change up Teen Wolf on how it is done. I'm able to upload, I'm able to get everything in, and then a couple days later, the studios come in and they block my videos. So we're going to have to switch it up. So for going forward from this point on YouTube, I'm going to have to just show some of the key points of the episode, and then we'll review the entire episode. That's how this is going to work from now on. The full reaction episodes are on Patreon, so if you are interested in that, you can join. Patreon link is down below, so make sure you check that out for full episode reactions if you'd like to see the whole thing. But outside of that, let's get into this reaction and review, and I hope you enjoy. Huh? Run, Scott, run. It's your alpha. Ah, there you go.
You're dead.
That was a training exercise?
With the car alarm thing, that was smart, right? So your phone rang. This is why I caught you. You want me to teach you? Get rid of her.
Listen, La Bête du Gévaudan. It's an old French legend that, believe it or not, has something to do with your family.
In 1766, in a province of Lozère, the Bête killed over 100 people.
Mysterious animal attacks, just like a certain town called Beacon Hills.
Derek?
Whoa.
Well, did you get anything off of him? An impression?
Anger. Especially when he drew the spiral.
Wait, the what?
Yeah, this look like you know what it means.
No, it's nothing.
What, he wants you to tap into your animal side and get angry?
Yeah.
All right, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but every time you do that, you try to kill someone. And that someone's usually me. No. That gives me to the end of the school day, then. To teach you myself.
What does it look like to you?
Looks like the thing you know.
It looks like a big wolf.
Remember, don't get angry.
I was gonna throw stuff at him.
So it is anger then, Derek's right. I can't be around Allison.
Just because she makes you happy?
Because she makes me weak.
That's gross.
McCall! What? The reading.
Last night's reading?
No? How about the night before that? How about you summarize anything you've ever read? Thank you. McCall, thank you for extinguishing any last flicker of hope I have for your generation. All right, everybody else, settle down.
She brings you back, is what I'm saying. No, but it's not always true. When she was holding your hand, that was different, okay? I don't think she makes you weak. I think she actually gives you control. She's kind of like an anchor. Maybe because of love.
I need your help. If you can hear me, I need you to give me a sign. Is it one of us?
One of you.
Someone else make it out of the fire? Just give me anything. Blink, raise a finger, just anything. Say something!
Let him go!
Oh, he moving.
Want to know about the animal you found with the spiral in its side?
Excuse me? What animal?
3 months ago.
Oh, yes. It's just a deer.
Did you hear that?
For what?
The sound of your heartbeat rising.
Excuse me?
It's the sound of you lying.
What are you doing? Scott, get out of here! You think he's the alpha?
We're about to find out.
Ooh.
This is a terrible idea. Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do if the alpha doesn't show up? I don't know.
He's gotta be kidding me.
Be a werewolf, not a teen wolf. Be a werewolf. Sorry, I didn't know it'd be that loud.
It was loud.
What did you do with him?
What?
Whoa. All right, guys, let's get into the review of this episode. This was episode 6. It was entitled Heart Monitor, and it was a pretty good episode all around. I enjoyed it, especially the beginning when this scene right here is just like between Derek and Scott. Scott looks like he was grocery shopping or something, put his bags down, thought the alpha was after him. So, you know, he was running throughout. He heard his heartbeat. Really smart, I thought, to set off the car alarms. And then, sure enough, Allison calls and sets off his ringtone. And come to find out, it's actually Derek who was testing him to see if he could survive, basically, if the alpha was there. And so, like Derek told him, he's going to have to get rid of Allison in order to, survive this alpha. But Scott is not willing to do so, which I don't think I blame him, because I actually think Allison kind of keeps him grounded, which we see later in the episode. We find out that she kind of is his anchor. That's kind of what I was thinking in the beginning, is like she kind of keeps him grounded and stuff like that. This right here with the aunt and Allison, when they're talking about the werewolf. So this leads more into Allison finding out more about her family, with the Argents and the hunting. I think her aunt is starting to push that on her now, instead of, she's like subtly dropping hints. Like, I think Allison's becoming that age to where she's able to learn about the family, so that way she can get into the business. So her aunt's kind of pushing her onto it. I think that's kind of like my thoughts on it, kind of like what I think's happening. So yeah, and then Scott leaves Allison's house only to be, subdued by the alpha. I wouldn't say subdued, but come to find out it's the alpha chasing him. He thought it was Derek again, but it wasn't. And he ends up drawing this circle right here, as you can see on the little mini window here. He ends up drawing the circle, and I'm very curious as to what the circle is. I still don't understand. We saw it in the pilot episode when Derek's sister was uncovered, that they kind of did like Styles was pulling up a rope, and it was into that same thing. It's that circle. We also saw it on the roof in the last episode, so I'm kind of curious as to what this circle means. It hasn't really been addressed yet, but I'm kind of curious as to what it is. Derek seems to know, especially in this scene, when Scott's telling him about it. He's kind of like, the alpha, he kind of connected with anger, and especially when the alpha was drawing the circle, and it kind of set Derek onto something, and he says it's nothing, even though we know that there's something there. And so, yeah, I mean, I wish Derek would be more, my thing with Derek is if Derek wants Scott to help him with this alpha and survive, I think Derek needs to open up a little bit more, but of course he has his secrets that he doesn't want to talk about, I guess, for some reason. I don't understand why. Derek expects Scott to listen to him and to trust him, but yet Derek's not so trusting with the information, so it kind of just like, eh. But Allison's reading more into the book here in this scene, and of course, this is where she shows Lydia the picture of the werewolf, and Lydia remembers what she saw at the video store. And like I said, I'm really liking that Lydia's, you know, it's starting to show a little bit more of her mind, you know, coming out. She's actually very, very smart, and I do enjoy that. I think that's really cool. I really like this scene. So this scene right here is when, of course, with Styles and Scott, like Styles doing his own method because he doesn't trust Derek in the ways that he's teaching Scott. So he decided he wanted to do it on his own. And the fact that he's throwing lacrosse balls at Scott to make sure that he tries to stay not angry, or tries not to get angry. You know, it was really funny to me. And I think Styles was having a good time with it. He made the little point that, you know, of course, his aim's getting better. So I thought that was really cool. I'm very interested with this right here. I don't know what is going on with Jackson, and I do want to know because this was really interesting. It was a good turn point. For some reason, something is going on with the back of his neck with that mark. Derek has done something to Jackson, and I don't know what it is. But it's pretty obvious that something is happening with Jackson. I would say that he might be changing into a werewolf, but at the same time, like, it seems a little bit different than that because one, Scott turned immediately, like the next full moon. There's been a couple full moons since then, and Jackson hasn't changed. But like the hallucinations that he's starting to have and everything, with like a werewolf claw coming out of his mouth, something is going on with him, and I don't know what it is, but something is happening, and it's pretty freaky. So I'm very curious as to what is going on there with them two, or with him, like, especially with Derek, because Derek's the one that marked him. I don't know if, like, possibly, you know how like kind of like a vampire servant type of thing, like if a vampire, you know, marks a human, that human becomes the vampire's servant, like that's that person to call, type of deal, you know, in that story fantasy world. I'm kind of wondering if it's kind of the same thing, like when Derek marked him, it's like him and Derek somehow linked now. I'm very curious with that. But this was really interesting too. The coach is riding Scott about what he read, and he's just yelling and getting angrier and angrier. And Scott's elevation, his blood pressure's rising, and of course he knows it's going to change. And this is where you find out the point that Allison is actually his control. Allison is his anchor, which I thought was really cool. It's a really cool thing to put into the show. He needs an anchor, obviously, to keep him grounded, and it's just cool that it's her. So I thought that was really interesting. But we didn't really get into this too much, but like Styles' next thing was, you know, of course, having Scott beat up by a bunch of guys and telling him to think of Allison the whole time to prove if it's true that Allison is his anchor. Sure enough, it works. So I thought that was pretty interesting. This next part is with Derek and was that his uncle Peter, whatever, the one who got burned in the fire. Something is going on with that circle, and I don't know if it's something to do with Derek's family, because he asked Peter, did somebody else survive the fire? So I'm wondering if it's like the circle might be his pack symbol. Like his family's pack, like his family crest or whatever you want to call it. I'm very interested in knowing what that circle is. Like I said at the beginning of the episode too, we don't know what the circle is. Derek has secrets about it, but I'm wondering if it has something to do with his family, because he goes to his uncle, who's like non-responsive, and asks him if somebody else came out of that fire. So I'm wondering if there's another wolf in his family, and that's like his family's symbol or something for their pack or whatever. But what was interesting here is this is the first time you see his uncle have like any type of movement. His finger lifts up. So thought that was really interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see if he's gonna come out of his state. That's what I'm wondering now. Is he gonna come out of like whatever happened to him after the fire? I wonder if he's gonna come back, you know, as he is, you know, if he's starting to come to. But yeah, this was really interesting. So Derek ends up at, and this is what I'm saying, this is what's confusing me, is Derek goes to Scott's workplace and his boss is there, and he's asking him questions about a deer with the circle and something like that. And this guy knows more than what he is letting on. That's what I said in the last episode. This guy knows more than what he's saying. And I'm starting to wonder what it could possibly be. At the end of the episode, it does seem that it's possible that he's the alpha. But I think, honestly, that is too broad of a thought, like too broad of a reason. Because if the alpha was after Scott, I would think that, like, if it's his boss, he would have had him a long time ago, because he works with them. You know, they're alone. I think he would have had him a while back. So I really don't think it's the boss, even though the boss disappeared when Scott called for him with the wolf howl. His boss disappeared, and then all of a sudden the alpha shows up behind Derek. That is suspicious. But I think that's more just a ploy to kind of throw us off, in my opinion. I think it's like trying to lead you a different way than what the actual truth is. Best part of this entire episode, and I thought it was funny, was Scott's howl to the alpha, of course, over the PA system. Oh my God, was that hilarious? It sounded like a cat dying. And I have to agree with Styles. It did. It sounded like a cat dying at first. And I am in complete agreement with Derek. He's just standing outside like, you've got to be kidding me. But in the end, of course, he's able to call the alpha. Now the question becomes, since the alpha was called, and this is pretty messy looking, the alpha coming up to Derek like that, which I don't even know if I'm going to be able to see. But the fact that he clawed Derek, and that was a lot of blood loss, and threw him against the wall. I mean, Derek looks dead at the end of this episode, so hopefully he's not. I doubt it. I doubt that he's dead. I wouldn't believe it, because I want to say he's a main character, so I don't think it's plausible for him to be dead. But you never know. If he's not dead, it's going to take him a long time to get back to a healing. Because he lost a lot of blood there, and that was an alpha that got him. So I think it would take even longer to heal, probably. So Derek might be out of the picture for a little bit, I would think. Maybe just a little bit. But overall, like I said, the episode was cool. It's interesting to see that, you know, Allison is Scott's, you know, anchor. She grounds him. Very curious about the circle and how it ties in with Derek and the family. If that is the thing. But Peter seems to be responding a little bit now, and of course is Scott's boss the alpha at the end of this episode? These are the questions that are going to lead us into the next episode. Like I said, I really don't think it is, but you never know. I mean, I don't know. But looking very forward to the next episode, finding out if it is. And until the next reaction, guys, I hope you enjoy. Like I said, full reactions are on Patreon. Everything is down in the link below. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, watching this video. Hope you enjoy. Leave a comment below about your favorite things about this episode. Let me know. And until the next reaction, we'll see you next time.